Maxton Hall. Season 2 didn't just bring drama on screen, it quietly set the internet on fire off screen. While we were busy watching heartbreak, betrayal, and stolen glances, something else was happening in real life. Relationships were forming, secrets were being guarded, and a few truths were hiding in plain sight. Some of these connections feel unexpected, some feel almost impossible, and some might explain a lot more than we realized. So let's talk about the Maxton Hall Season 2 cast relationships you truly didn't see coming. Section 1. Let's start with the cast members who mastered the art of mystery, because if Maxton Hall has taught us anything, it's that silence can be louder than any confirmation. Sonia Weiser, who plays Lydia, is one of the most emotionally intense characters this season, and that pain feels almost too real at times. Off-screen, Sonia carries herself with the same quiet control. She's 23, deeply trained in theater, and very intentional about her life choices. And when it comes to relationships, there is absolutely nothing. No photos, no interviews, no subtle hints. It's almost unsettling how little she shares, especially in an industry where personal lives are often used as marketing tools. But here's the unexpected part. The more private she remains, the more fans start to wonder if there's something worth protecting. Sometimes privacy isn't about being alone. Sometimes it's about keeping something real away from the noise. Then there's Harriet Herbigmat, who plays Ruby, the emotional center of the show. Harriet has this calm, grounded presence that feels rare. She grew up between Munich and the world of children's films, slowly building her career without chasing attention. And just like Sonia, her love life is completely locked away. What makes this interesting is not the silence itself, but the timing. Since Season 2 dropped, speculation around her and Damien has only grown stronger. Their chemistry doesn't feel forced, it feels lived in. And while neither of them has confirmed anything, Harriet's choice to stay quiet feels almost strategic, not in a fake way, but in a protective one. It's as if she understands that once something is named, it can never belong fully to her again. Damien Harding adds another layer to this puzzle. At 27, he already carries the energy of someone who has lived several lives. Trained in New York, fluent in multiple languages, successful long before Maxton Hall, Damien doesn't behave like someone chasing fame. And yet, he's one of the most talked about actors right now. What's surprising isn't that he's private, it's how consistently private he remains. No soft launches, no vague answers, just a steady refusal to turn love into content. And that's where things get interesting. When two people are both extremely private, fans often assume there's nothing there. But sometimes it means the opposite. Sometimes it means there's something worth keeping untouched until the right moment. Whether Damien and Harriet are together or not, their silence has become its own kind of story, and fans can't stop reading into it. This pattern repeats itself across the cast, and it starts to feel intentional. Maxton Hall isn't just a show about power, emotion, and control. It's a cast that mirrors those themes in real life. Relationships aren't denied. They're simply not handed to us. And in a world where oversharing is expected, that restraint feels almost rebellious. It makes every glance, every interview answer, and every absence of information feel loaded with meaning. And that's exactly why these relationships feel so unexpected. Not because they're loud, but because they're hidden. While some cast members hide behind silence, others surprise us by quietly living out real love stories when no one is watching. Andrea Guo, who plays Ember, Ruby's sister, is one of those people who feels exactly the same on screen and off. There's an openness to her energy that makes her impossible to ignore. At 25, she's already lived through multiple creative worlds: music, modeling, acting, and you can feel that emotional depth in everything she does. What makes her relationship unexpected isn't that she's in one, but how naturally she lets it exist without turning it into a performance. Andrea is openly dating actor Luca Demick, and together they feel refreshingly real. No dramatic announcements, no forced perfection, just warmth, playful moments, and a kind of affection that feels safe. In a cast where secrecy is the norm, Andrea choosing honesty feels almost rebellious in its own way. It reminds us that not every relationship needs mystery to feel special. Some just grow quietly, without fear. Then there's Eustace Resner, who plays Ren. a character defined by gentleness and emotional balance. That same energy follows him into real life. At 28, Eustace has spent years working in smaller German productions, slowly building his craft without rushing into the spotlight. Maxton Hall is his biggest moment yet, and instead of leaning into attention, he seems to step back from it. His romantic life is completely blank. No speculation, no rumors, no curiosity satisfied, and strangely, that absence feels very on brand for him. What you didn't see coming is how rare that kind of restraint has become. In an industry that rewards exposure, Eustace choosing silence feels intentional. It's as if he's saying that not everything meaningful needs an audience. Runa Greiner, who plays Lynn, brings a very different energy. On screen, she commands attention effortlessly. Off screen, that charisma only grows stronger. At 29, she's been acting since she was young and gained recognition early on, especially with Turkish audiences. Confidence radiates from her, but so does emotional honesty. Unlike some of her co-stars, Runa hasn't always kept her love life hidden. She's had public relationships in the past, including one with musician Pascal Reinhardt, and fans still talk about them as if the story never really ended. What's unexpected here isn't the past, it's the present silence. After being open before, Runa now chooses privacy, and that shift says a lot. It feels like someone who learned what public love costs and decided to protect herself instead. And yet, fans continue to hope, to speculate, to imagine reunions that may never come. Because once a relationship feels real to people, it never fully disappears from their minds. What connects all these stories isn't confirmation or denial, it's control. Each cast member seems to decide exactly how much of themselves the world is allowed to see. Some open the door slightly, others keep it firmly shut. And that balance between visibility and mystery is what keeps fans hooked. These aren't chaotic celebrity romances or loud headlines. These are quiet choices, deliberate boundaries, and relationships that exist without asking for permission. And somehow, that makes them even more fascinating. As we move deeper into the cast, the contrast between public love and guarded privacy becomes even more striking. Vidja Van Hoyt, who plays Mortimer, carries a presence that instantly feels heavier, more grounded, almost timeless. At 52, he's not just an actor, he's history, experience, and discipline wrapped into one. And unlike many of his younger co-stars, his real-life relationship isn't surrounded by mystery or speculation. Vedja is married to Karina Smulders, an actress and singer, and their relationship feels like something built slowly, deliberately, and with care. There's nothing performative about it. No constant updates, no need to prove anything. It's the kind of partnership that exists confidently in the background, steady and unshaken. In a cast full of uncertainty, this kind of stability feels unexpected in the best way. It reminds us that not all love stories are dramatic. Some are simply enduring. Then there's Ben Felipe, who plays Cyril, a character whose charm often sneaks up on you. He doesn't demand attention, but once you notice him, it's impossible to look away. Off-screen, Ben carries that same thoughtful energy. He studied acting in both London and Germany, comes from a mixed heritage, and approaches his work with a quiet seriousness that feels rare. And when it comes to relationships, he might be the most private of all. No names, no rumors, no breadcrumbs left behind. And while that might disappoint fans hoping for gossip, it actually adds to his appeal. The unexpected part isn't that he's single or taken, it's that he refuses to let anyone decide that story for him. His love life exists somewhere beyond public reach, and he seems completely comfortable keeping it there. What's fascinating is how different generations within the cast handle love so differently. The younger actors guard their privacy like a shield, while someone like Vedja shows us that long-term love doesn't need defending once it's secure. That contrast creates a strange harmony within the Maxton Hall cast. It feels like everyone is at a different stage of understanding what love costs and what it's worth. Some are protecting potential futures, others are honoring what they've already built. And that's where the real surprise lies. These relationships, or the lack of visible ones, aren't accidents. They reflect growth, experience, and personal boundaries. The cast doesn't feed the audience what it wants. They offer only what feels honest to them. And in doing so, they make every confirmed relationship feel meaningful, and every unconfirmed one feel loaded with possibility. The silence isn't empty, it's intentional. And that intention is what keeps fans guessing long after the episode. When you step back and look at the Maxton Hall Season 2 cast as a whole, one thing becomes very clear. These relationships, whether confirmed or completely hidden, are not meant to entertain us in the usual way. They aren't loud, they aren't messy, and they definitely aren't easy to decode. Instead, they feel carefully guarded, almost protected from the outside world. And that's what makes them so compelling. In an era where celebrity relationships are often turned into headlines within hours, this cast moves differently. They choose silence over explanation, intention over attention, and that choice alone makes every connection feel unexpected. What truly catches people off guard is how closely this mirrors the emotional themes of the show itself. Maxton Hall is about power, vulnerability, control, and the cost of letting someone see you fully. And off-screen, the cast seems to live by those same rules. Some protect their hearts by keeping everything private. Others show love openly but without performance. And a few allow just enough mystery to keep the world wondering. None of it feels accidental. It feels like a group of people who understand that once something becomes public, it changes forever. The most surprising part may be that there are no scandals here. No dramatic breakups playing out online. No forced romances for publicity. Just people choosing how much of themselves they want to share. That restraint feels rare, especially among rising stars. It makes fans lean in closer, analyze every interaction, and fill in the blanks themselves. And maybe that's the real reason these relationships feel so powerful. They invite imagination instead of confirmation. So whether someone is openly in love, quietly committed, or completely unreadable, one thing is certain. The Maxton Hall cast knows exactly what they're doing. They're telling their stories on screen and keeping the rest for themselves. And maybe that's why these relationships hit harder than expected, because the ones you don't see coming are often the ones that were never meant to be fully seen at all. As we move deeper into the cast, the contrast between public love and guarded privacy becomes even more striking. Fedja Van Hoyt, who plays Mortimer, carries a presence that instantly feels heavier, more grounded, almost timeless. At 52, he's not just an actor, he's history, experience, and discipline wrapped into one. And unlike many of his younger co-stars, his real-life relationship isn't surrounded by mystery or speculation. Fedja is married to Karina Smulders, an actress and singer, and their relationship feels like something built slowly, deliberately, and with care. There's nothing performative about it. No constant updates, no need to prove anything. It's the kind of partnership that exists confidently in the background, steady and unshaken. In a cast full of uncertainty, this kind of stability feels unexpected in the best way. It reminds us that not all love stories are dramatic. Some are simply enduring. Then there's Ben Felipe, who plays Cyril, a character whose charm often sneaks up on you. He doesn't demand attention, but once you notice him, it's impossible to look away. Off-screen, Ben carries that same thoughtful energy. He studied acting in both London and Germany, comes from a mixed heritage, and approaches his work with a quiet seriousness that feels rare.